Hello, good day, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Midweek Motivation. My name is Brina, and I am happy that you have chosen to join me today for a new word for this week. Please be sure to like and share the video. And as always, I would love to hear your comments about this week's word. So thank you again for tuning in. So today's word is going to come from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 1 through 10. And I'm going to read all of those verses, so just bear with me. And I'm coming from the New Living Translation. And this is Paul writing and speaking here. This boasting will do no good, but I must go on. I will reluctantly tell about visions and revelations from the Lord. I was caught up into the third heaven 14 years ago. Whether I was in the body or out of the body, I don't know. Only God knows. Yes, only God knows whether I was in my body or outside of my body. But I do know that I was caught up to paradise and heard things so astounding that they cannot be expressed in words, things no human is allowed to tell. That experience is worth boasting about, but I'm not going to do it. I will boast only about my weakness. If I wanted to boast, I would be no fool in doing so, because I would be telling the truth. But I won't do it, because I don't want anyone to give me credit beyond what they can see in my life or hear in my message. Even though I have received such wonderful revelation from God. So, to keep me from becoming proud, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. Verse 8, 3 times I begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, "My grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness." So now I am glad to boast about my weakness, so that the power of Christ can work through me. And verse 10, that's why I take pleasure in weakness and in insults, hardships, persecutions, and trouble that I suffer for Christ. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So the word for today is grace. So what is grace? So grace is the unmerited favor of God that he extends toward his creation and especially to believers. So another word for grace is favor. And the dictionary definition of favor, let me read that, is something done or granted out of goodwill rather than from justice or for remuneration. It's a kind act. So when we extend grace to someone, we're extending favor and blessings upon them. And we're doing this just because, right? No expectation of repayment or reciprocation. And this is, in a similar way, how God extends grace to us. God gives us what we don't deserve. God's grace is also his empowerment. So when we have God's grace, we have his supernatural power on us to do things that we normally cannot do on our own. So go back to the passage we just read from Paul in 2 Corinthians. He mentioned that he had a thorn in his flesh that he asked God 3 times to get rid of. And God never did that. So Paul had to endure whatever that thorn is, and we are never told what it is, but he had to endure it for the rest of his life. But God tells Paul that my grace is enough. My grace is sufficient for you to endure whatever it is that you have on him. In other words, God has given us what we need to handle whatever situation, and that is his grace. Paul was able to endure this thorn by God's grace, and we are able to do the same. So are you having to deal with something difficult today? Are you going into new territory where you're out of your comfort zone? And are you being stretched? We're hearing that word stretch a lot at Anointed Word Church. If that is you, then God's grace is what can give you exactly what you need, is what can empower you as you move into new territory, as you're doing new things, as you're facing difficulties, as you're being stretched. We have this power from God that can sustain us. And this power reminds us that we're not by ourselves as we're facing these situations, and that God is giving us exactly what we need when we need it. And I know I can attest to this. I am a witness to this over and over again in my life, that just when I think that I am tapped out, that I can't do anymore and can barely handle what I have, God's grace kicks in, his favor kicks in and empowers me to do whatever I am called to do. And his grace gives me unmerited favor, things I don't deserve, blessings that I didn't earn, but he just showers them on me over and over again. So what about you? Have you experienced God's grace? Do you need God's grace today? We all need God's grace in every day that we face and everything that is before us. So if you need God's supernatural power and you're looking for his favor, ask him. Ask God to give you the supernatural strength, the grace to move forward into this day. And because God's grace is a part of his will, he will answer that prayer. And we know that according to 1 John 5:14 and 15, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. And if he hears us, we know that we will receive that which we ask. So ask God to give you his grace today, and then walk in it. Believe that you have it, believe that you've received it, and know that you can face whatever it is you're facing, whether it's a challenging time, difficulty, whether it is a very busy schedule, you feel a little overwhelmed, whatever it is, just know that by the grace of God, you can walk in it and through it and be victorious. So that's the word for today, grace. Let me hear your comments on it. Like and share the video, and we'll see you again next week.